So one of the questions that I believe you have, and this is a question that I've definitely had and I've heard talked about quite a bit with people that are interested in Tesla and electric vehicles, is how well will the Model Y sell? And will the Model Y outsell all other Tesla models combined in 2020? I'm Jonathan Stewart, and welcome to Cleanerwatt. So will the Model Y outsell all other Tesla models combined in 2020? Well, in order to answer that question, I believe it's important that we look at some data. And the first piece of data that I want to take a look at is the 2019 compact SUV sales figures. And this includes a lot of different sizes of SUVs. You know, the RAV4 is not exactly a small vehicle, but it does fall into this category. And I believe the RAV4, the CR-V, and the Nissan Rogue, that's going to be where the Model Y will be kind of categorized in at least my mind as far as size, storage capacity, and some things like that. And if you look at those top three cars, those top three SUVs, you'll see that especially the RAV4 and the CR-V, those are selling really well. Those are both growing in sales. And if you combine those three together, you get almost 1 million SUVs sold just with those top three selling vehicles year to date. Almost 1 million year to date. And that's through 3 quarters of this year. And so that's pretty incredible. And it's a big market. And you'll notice a lot of green on that last column there, year to date change, meaning that there is growth in this market. Of course, this data was pulled from goodcar.badcar.net. You can go pull up some of that data for yourself. But you'll notice the growth. You'll notice the almost 1 million cars there, and you'll notice down the columns, you know, there's a lot of sales there in the SUV market. It is growing substantially. But then you look at the sedan sales market, and this is also pulled from the same website. You'll notice that the top 3 selling cars there, the Camry, the Civic, and the Corolla, you'll notice that they sold quite a bit as well, but you'll notice that those top 3 are 30, 40, 50,000 less on each car. And so you'll notice that the market's not quite as large for sedans, but the main key factors, if you look at the year-to-date change, you'll notice there is a shrinking of the sedan market. There is a hunger in at least the U.S. market. Of course, I forgot to mention this data is for the USA market, not for the global market. But there's a huge hunger for SUVs in America, in the U.S., and it's something that's been growing substantially over the last decade. And what's great is, of course, the Model Y is going to fill that segment in the electric vehicle market with a mass market product. The Model X is, of course, a great car, great SUV, but it's out of the price range for a lot of people. So will the Model Y outsell all Tesla models combined in 2020? Well, Elon Musk sure thinks so. So I want to play a clip from the Q3 2019 conference call where Elon Musk says that he thinks that the Model Y will outsell all Model S, Model X, and Model 3s combined.
I've actually recently driven the Model Y release candidate and think it's going to be an amazing product and be very well received. I think it's quite likely to, this is just my opinion, but I think it will outsell S, X, and 3 combined.
Another interesting clip to show that this is not something that Elon Musk just started thinking, and this is not something that is new for him. If we look at and listen to the launch presentation, the revealing of the Model Y when it was first shown to the world, and if you listen to Elon Musk, he actually said a very similar statement, and I'll play that here as well.
Size SUV, it'll be the one you want, yeah, I think it'll probably sell. I think we'll probably do more Model Ys than S, X, and 3 combined.
So in order to get a good idea of what this really means, we need to know how many cars, how many vehicles has Tesla sold in 2019, and how many do we assume they will sell by the end of this year? Because that'll kind of tell us of what this statement by Elon Musk means, that they will sell more Model Ys than all of their cars combined. And so you can see there that the Model S has sold year to date through quarter 3, 23,693 units. The Model 3 has sold 208,265 units. The Model X has sold 23,000 2,603 units. And if you kind of estimate out for the year, we assume that Tesla is going to hit somewhere around that 360,000 units by the end of this year, by the end when they report their Q4 numbers. And so we'll know that by the first of the year, early in January. So if you look at that, that's saying that the Model Y will very possibly sell north of 360,000 units in the full year. So if you say the full year, well, let's be fair and say 2021. By that point, it will be I imagine, pretty full production. And you go from 2021 to the end of 2021, we hope and we assume, based on this data, based on a growing market, based on what Tesla is planning for, that they can sell close to 400,000 units in 2021 for the Model Y. And this would be an incredible feat, and we'll talk about some of the details of what that would mean for Tesla, but I just wanted to put that in perspective a little bit of what that would look like for the Model Y. Now, I think I've made a good case for that Tesla has a good chance to sell a lot of the Model Ys, and I think there's many reasons for that. Of course, it's going to be based off of 75% of the parts are going to be the same as the really very popular Model 3, and of course, it's going to have a hatchback, it's going to have a little bit more space, and it's only going to be priced maybe 3, 4, 5,000 more than the Model 3. And I believe this is going to be a very popular unit. But in order to understand really how popular it's going to be, I want to go over in the end of this video some of the basic stats of the Model Y. I also wanted to take a moment here as well and talk about some of the news and some of the new things that we've come to hear about the Model Y and some of the stories that have come out from different things. And so I wanted to go over some of that news and some of those details. So one of the first exciting things that came out of the Q3 conference call is that the Model Y is ahead of schedule. And I want to play a clip of Elon Musk mentioning this.
Regarding Model Y, we're also ahead of schedule on Model Y preparations in Fremont. And we've moved the launch timeline from fall 2020 to summer 2020. There may be some room for improvement there, but we're confident about summer 2020.
Now, we thought this to be true because we have recently seen a lot of Model Y prototypes out in the wild for testing, and they've been showing up all over Twitter and Reddit and also on Instagram, and people are posting pictures they took of the Model Y out in the wild. So we kind of assumed that it was ahead of schedule, but it was really good to hear Elon Musk mention this in the conference call, where he mentioned that we're also ahead of schedule on the Model Y preparations in Fremont, and we've moved the launch timeline from fall 2020 to summer 2020. There may be some room for improvement there, but we're confident about summer 2020. Now, that statement's directly from Elon Musk, and I thought it was really interesting. Not only they moved it forward a couple months there, 2, 3, 4 months, whatever that means, to summer 2020, but he says we're confident that they can hit that date, and they may even be able to get it out before then. And so that's really exciting if you're a reservation holder, or if you are planning on purchasing one in the very near future, you may get it sooner than you thought you would. And so the Model Y is ahead of schedule. But what I thought was really exciting is not only is the Model Y ahead of schedule, later on in the conversation there was some investor questions, and an investor asked a question, and in answering to that, he mentioned the production numbers that he assumed they'd be able to make. And if you'll notice here that he says volume production is some number in excess of 1,000 units per week. We are confident of reaching that point no later than the middle of 2020. When he mentions that the car is going to be coming out in summer 2020, he doesn't mean 3 or 4 or 5 a week, maybe 100 a week. He's literally saying 1,000 units per week. So when we say summer 2020, if he's correct, we actually will see a lot of units being sold in the middle of 2020, meaning that there might even be some coming out near the first of the year. You might even see a really small number delivered to the first customers in spring of 2020. That's kind of what I'm reading from this, and you can, of course, think what you will, but that's what I'm reading here, is that the Model Y will be even earlier than we even think. Now, another really exciting thing that came from the Q3 conference call is that there are good margins to be expected for the Model Y. So Zachary Kirkhorn, the Chief Financial Officer for Tesla, mentioned this, and this is a quote from him: "From a margin perspective, we're expecting average selling prices, or ASPs, for the Model Y to be slightly higher than they are for the Model 3. And then he mentioned later on throughout that conversation, we do expect that it will be a higher margin product and something that we're very excited about within the company. And it goes without saying how important these high margin vehicles will be for Tesla's bottom line, for their profitability, and of course for their goal of bringing more sustainable transportation to the market and to the world. And so high margins are going to mean very much for Tesla's future. Now, another important question that came up during the Q3 conference call is that the Model Y might cannibalize Model 3 sales. Now, this is something that's up for debate, whether you believe it will or whether you believe it won't. There is some history to maybe support the fact that in fact it may actually increase the sales of the Model Y. But the question was posed to Elon Musk and Zachary that there has been cannibalization from the Model 3 and the Model S. So the Model 3 has cannibalized some of the sales from the Model S. Of course, for many reasons, price, it has the latest technology and some things like that. But the question was posed, kind of assuming that is the Model Y going to take away from the Model 3 and the Model X and the Model S as well? Is it going to take more sales away from that market where the Model S and the Model X are already shrinking a little bit? And Elon Musk said that he didn't think it would. His exact quote was, "No, I don't think we're expecting to see cannibalization of the Model 3. One is a sedan and one is an SUV." And of course, Zachary piped in and said, yeah, the best comparison we have for that is when we launched the Model X, we had Model S at the same time. And Elon Musk said, and the Model S sales increased. And so I sure hope that's the case, and I'm not 100% sure that will happen, but they do have a little history to go off of. And so based on internal Tesla expectations, Elon Musk, Zachary Kirkhorn, and I can probably say that I could see that happening. The Model Y is not expected to cannibalize Model 3 sales. Another exciting thing that came up, and this was kind of assumed, but it's good to hear this officially, is that the Tesla Model Y will also be built in China's Shanghai factory, Gigafactory 3, in 2020. Elon Musk mentioned at the end of one of his statements that we need to build out more facilities for the Model Y production at Shanghai as well. Of course, you know that the factory right now, as we speak here in November of 2019, is officially built in Shanghai some 11 months after they started building that, when it was just dirt. And they are actually producing trial runs of vehicles, and we should very quickly and shortly see Model 3s coming out of there. And they're saying that they need to build up more facilities for Model Y production. So it looks like the next phase that's going on right now, the next phase of construction has started, is to build up Model Y production. So it's assumed here that maybe by the middle, maybe to late 2020, you'll see quite a few Model Ys coming out of this Shanghai factory as well. If there's any indication about the speed with which they put out the Model 3s there and are able to get that factory up and running, of course, the Model Y, based on a similar platform and 75% of the same parts, I can see that happening pretty quickly as well. Now, I want to go over now a few of the details of the Model Y, and we'll do this quickly, but I want to go over a few of the details that are important if you're in the market for this vehicle and looking for an electric vehicle, or if you're just kind of interested in some of these things. So first is interior styling. The interior styling is, of course, going to be very similar to the Model 3. This is a picture that Tesla has put out with their marketing materials for the Model Y, and you'll notice that it pretty much looks identical to the Model 3. An incredibly looking vehicle, and in my opinion, I love the minimalist design, and I love the way it looks. And I'm glad that the Model Y is going to share this same looks. Another thing, when he mentioned, and they launched the vehicle and they did the reveal, he mentioned that there will be a 7-seat option. I think that's pretty incredible. Of course, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if you could fit only kids back there or what, but I'm sure they'll be a little cramped back there, but just the fact that you have that option is pretty incredible. 66 cubic feet of cargo space, which is pretty impressive. Of course, it'll all fold flat, and you'll be able to put a lot of different things in there. And it's going to be an incredible SUV with a power liftgate. That's also been confirmed, and so that'll be a handy vehicle for sure. There has been some spotted on the road. So Mr. Lee Tesla on Twitter posted this, and I'm using this with permission. He caught this gray Model Y out in the wild, and you'll notice that it has the wheels that we've only seen available in China on it. They're those aero wheels with a little bit different hubcap than we see for the Model Ys in the US. We see that one. We saw this put out by KenKen830 on YouTube, and I'll put a link to that channel so you can actually watch the video down below. But this is a great comparison because it compares the Model Y to the Model 3, a side-by-side comparison there on the left. And of course, on the right, you see it there compared to an F-150, and you'll see that it's riding pretty high. It's got a good height. It looks pretty beefy, and it doesn't look like a teeny little vehicle next to the Ford F-150, and I think that's an important comparison. This is going to be a bigger vehicle. This is going to be a very spacious vehicle for its size, and in my opinion, it's going to be a very well-selling vehicle for many reasons, including this. Another photo that was put out by Tesla Economics on Twitter was a red vehicle, a red Model Y that was caught going down the road there, and of course, you see there, it looks beautiful. I think it looks really good in red, and it's just exciting to see another one out in the wild. And so now I want to take just a moment going over some of the basic specs, pricing, and options. So the Model Y is available in 3 variants right now, available for pre-order. And the first one is the long range, which means it just has the rear motor. And this is the long range Model Y, 300-mile EPA estimate, 5.50 to 60, and the purchase price is $49,500. If you look at the long-range all-wheel drive unit, you'll see it gets a little bit less range, but it gets a quicker 0 to 60, and that is $53,500 purchase price. If you look at the performance unit, it is $61,000 purchase price and a 3.5 second 0 to 60 200-mile range. So in closing, here are a few thoughts of what I have to say about the Tesla Model Y. Number one, the fact that it's going to be a higher margin product that should sell better than any other car they've sold, including all their cars combined. That's going to be important. That profit is going to be huge to allow Tesla to continue on as a company, to expand, and to further bring more sustainable transportation to the market. Of course, the Model 3 has been a mass market vehicle, which has grown the awareness of electric vehicles and has done a lot for the market, but I can only imagine what the Model Y will do. So that mass market, meaning more sales and a bigger potential market than the Model 3, is going to be huge. And with all this put together, I believe Tesla's future looks bright. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some things. Do please subscribe to this channel. I do appreciate every subscriber that I already have and the great comments that you guys are leaving in the comments section. But please do subscribe if you're not already, and click the bell icon so you know when I put up new content, and do stay tuned for more exciting content as the time comes. So thank you so much. Have a good day.